The issue of mental health is one that should concern all of us. And in this episode, we live out loud with Kathy Kiragu, a lovely young lady who's a Berklee trained musician who knows all too well what it's like to live with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. As always, I'm so thrilled you found this channel. Please click subscribe and hit notifications. That way you don't miss an episode when we upload. And we do that every Monday from the Waterfront Karen. You've arrived. The Waterfront Karen is East Africa's premier destination for retail and shopping. Stop by sometime and enjoy a great day out with family and friends. In this episode, it's all about mental health. Members of our families, colleagues in the workplace, and friends that we know are silently battling with mental health. Many years ago, when this lovely lady was just a little girl, I had the pleasure and honor of babysitting her once or twice. We sort of lost touch over the years, but we connected again, and she told me she had something she wanted to share. Kathy Kiragu, it's so wonderful to see you and to be here with you. It's been many, many years. You've grown into such a lovely young lady.
Thank you.
I've been following your progress, and I know you studied music at Berklee, but when we spoke on the phone, I will be quite honest, I felt so helpless that you were going through so much and I had no clue at all. You have been living with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia since you were a teenager.
Yes.
Let's go back to the beginning. And not the beginning of when I used to babysit you, but, you know, understanding that there was something that was different about you. When did that happen?
Well, that happened when I was 15, or actually 14, a day before my birthday. I've been going through a lot, just questions about my purpose and the reason why I'm here. And when a day before my birthday, when I was turning 15, I tried to commit suicide. And so I was taken to hospital, I was admitted, and then I also went to a mental health hospital.
What did you do? I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, you're just a child. How did you plan and think and figure, this is what I'm going to do because I'm not getting the answers that I am getting, so this is the only way that I'm going to deal with what I'm asking and not getting answers from. How did they find you? Did you tell anybody that this was what you were going to do?
Well, I told one of my cousins, and he had just like, it was actually at a party, my birthday party.
Right.
And so I told one of my cousins, and he called my dad. By this time, I'd locked myself in one of the rooms in the house, and I was with two of my friends and my cousin, and I was trying to speed up the process of dying. But by this time, my parents found out, and one of my aunts came and talked to me. I let her into the room, I opened the door for her. We talked, and she convinced me to go with her to her place, because I said I wanted to die. So she said, come with me. And then before I knew it, I passed out in the car, and then I found myself in Nairobi Hospital.
When you woke up and you realized you were in the hospital, what you planned and set out to do, you didn't do. What were you thinking and what were you feeling then?
Well, I was angry because I hadn't completed the process. And then also the whole process of my stomach being pumped up, of the medicine, that was really painful. And so it was just a really bad night to deal with. It was a really bad night. Yes.
So how long were you in hospital after that?
Well, I can't really remember. I think I was in hospital. I was in and out of hospital for quite a while, since 2005 until about 2007, 8.
So, and you know, you're in school. This
Yes.
must have affected your studies.
Yes, this affected my studies. In fact, I took 1 year off. I took 1 year of school, and so I was just studying from home and from a school that was owned by one of my aunties. It's a school for children with special needs, so I used to study there.
Still staying on that year that you took the time off and I'm thinking about your family, your mom, your dad, your sister. What was that like? How did they handle you? What was going on with them? What was that relationship like?
Well, it was a bit tense because I felt like no one understood me. So I was a bit cold towards them because I felt misunderstood. So they felt helpless because they couldn't do anything, and I wasn't responsive. Of course, my sister, but by that time, both my sisters, my youngest sister was also born. So although my youngest sister was really small, maybe 1 or 2, she still sensed the depression I was going through and everything I was going through. So she was also a bit sad and affected. The same with my other sister, because I was always known for being someone joyful. And then all of a sudden something switched. And my parents, of course, were doing their best. They took me to all kinds of doctors, did all kinds of therapies. So they were really frustrated and felt helpless.
And that's the thing, because I'm sitting here and it's the emotion that I'm having as well, of being helpless, that to understand you were grappling with such big questions, such difficult questions that honestly even grown-ups in their 40s, in their 50s are asking, and here they were coming at you at such a young age. When were you diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia? When did that happen?
Well, I was diagnosed now after the suicide attempt. Now, I was 15 by that time. So after I was admitted in Nairobi Hospital, then I went into a rehabilitation, mental health hospital. Now, when I was getting treated there, that's when I was diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia. It's actually, the combination of the two is then called schizoaffective disorder.
Right. In looking at the therapy that was prescribed, what did you have to go through? What were the paces that they were putting you through?
Well, there was art therapy, which was really nice. They knew I liked music, they knew I loved music, and so every now and again they let me leave the hospital to go to one of the studios that I liked going to. It was run by a producer called Maurice Ayando. So I used to go there and just record some songs, express myself. By that time I used to be a rapper. So I used to rap.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious. So I used to rap and sing. So I used to rap and sing about everything I was going through.
Yeah.
So that was therapeutic, and then also therapy with talking. It takes a lot for me to open up, so that was not really productive. I was more productive with the art and the music.
Because
therapy.
you are a creative.
Yes.
I remember you as a little girl as well. Music was, you just came alive. You liked to be humming in the little corner, doing your own thing and eating your own snacks. And just such a lovely child. But the stigma that comes with mental illness and knowing that you had, attempted suicide, what was the family like, the greater family? Was it shared with the greater family? Did, your schoolmates find out? Did you feel pressure about the world knowing then? How did you as a family and you as Kathy handle that?
Well, as a family, first, I have a really supportive family. My extended family, my cousins were there for me. Of course, my cousins, because we were all young at that time, they didn't really understand why I tried to commit suicide, and they were all really hurt and sad. So, but despite that, they were really supportive. My aunts, uncles, especially my grandparents came to see me in the hospital all the time, encouraged me, asked me, what can we do for you to be better? We'll do anything for you to feel better. And so it was really nice to have the support of my family. My friends, I sort of had this thing of just withdrawing. So they knew something had happened, but they really didn't understand what really happened, because after I left school, at that time I was in Rusinga, when I left school, I just stopped all communication, also because of the medication. The medication made you very drowsy, and everything just slows down. So I sort of isolated myself from the friends. So it was mainly my family, nuclear and extended, that knew what was going on.
So Berklee, creativity, it was destined to happen that you would take your music to the next level. But going to Berklee meant leaving the country. Take us back to being strong enough and well enough to travel, and what happened on the other end of the pond.
Well, in 2008, I started doing music now full-time. So I was studying classical music, and that's when I got also into jazz. And that was here in Kenya. And so I did that for a number of years. Then I really improved. Like, I even stopped my medication and I was fine. And so at that point I felt like I was ready to go to Berklee College of Music. So I applied and I got in. And so I went there, and I was actually quite fine for the first time. But then after some time, my grandfather passed away, and that affected me. And also the load of doing a dual major was quite a bit. So then that's when things went downhill again.
In speaking about things going downhill, here you are in a foreign land. Chances are, you know, most of your family, your friends, they're all on this side of town. In looking at the spiral for you, did you feel, you know, because a lot of people say developed countries have better established mental health systems and warning flags for people to pick up on than we do. But here you are on this end, and nobody picked up the fact that you were spiraling. Tell us about that. What was going on? What were some of the things they missed that they should have picked up?
Well, one thing is my mom noticed. She came to, I met her in New York, and she noticed I was not sleeping. I was just doing a lot of work, staying up until 4 a.m., waking up early. And so she started noticing that something was changing. And then, of course, but I was busy with work, and so I told her I was fine. I tried to assure her I was fine, and by that time I also thought I was fine. I just thought that I was really busy with work. And with school, I think it's not something where they really pick out. Like, they don't really observe the students and try and find out what's going on in their life. It's only when you come forward and go for help that they start taking action. So it wasn't, even my friends, I think a couple of friends noticed that I was out of touch, because every time I start going downhill, I just lose touch with everyone. So that's what happened. The first pressure point was I was doing a dual major, so that put a lot of pressure on me. And then in 2015, in August, my grandfather passed away, and I was really close to him. So, and he's actually the first person who I've really been close to who has passed away. So that really affected me. And so that was in August, and I went back to school in September. So by November has always been a tough time for me, because that's when my birthday is. And that was when the first suicide attempt was. And so that really made me think a lot, and back again to purpose, what is life and everything. And so again, a day before my birthday, I tried to kill myself again and landed in hospital.
So one of your colleagues, one of your classmates found you, or what happened?
I can't really remember the details, because I've gone through some procedures that affect my memory. But one thing I think I remember is I think I called 911 before it got really bad. Because one thing I go through is like, I get second thoughts. Like I try and overdose, and then after a while I'm like, no, do I really want to die? Like, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't. And so that's when I called for help.
Right, so they came in and took you into the hospital.
Yes.
And they had to make a call to Kenya. What happened?
They made a call to my guardian, my mom's best friend, in New York. And she then called my parents.
Okay.
Yes.
Knowing your parents, your mom was on the first flight out.
Yes.
What was that like?
Do
you remember seeing her coming into the hospital?
I honestly can't remember, because all the times I've been in hospital, things have just been blurry. Like, I just can't remember. My mind is not at peace, and then also because of the medication, I'm really like a zombie. Yes.
So how long did this next phase of recovery take? What did you go through then?
Well, it's still taking place, because actually this year I've had 3 suicide attempts. one in August, one in September, one in October.
And this is 2018?
Yes.
You tried 3 times?
Yes.
Okay. And your family, going through this 3 times this year, what's that relationship like between you and all of them? Do they just want to keep you close to them at all times? Nobody wants to let you out of their sight?
Yes, they actually do. Like, there's actually a period of time where if I go silent, like if my mom if I miss a call from my mom, she'll just be panicking, trying to find me, and she'll be calling and getting people to call me. And so it's been tough for them. Thankfully, my sisters have been away from school, so it's not truly affected them because we have limited the information that they've gotten, at least when they're away. Like now, actually, they're going to find out about the suicide attempts in this
from
video.
This. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh my! You know, when I spoke to you, and I think there was one time we met in the hospital. I'll go back to my brother had knee surgery, and I'd gone to visit him in the hospital, and I met you. And I said, oh, hi. And, you know, I'm always loud and, hi, how are you doing? And huggy. And I said, so why are you here? And he said, oh, I'm just not doing well, but then I'm about to go home. Was that one of those attempts?
Yes, it was.
So here I was as Auntie Nikki, and I couldn't even give you an extra special hug. I feel helpless. There's that word, helpless, again. But looking at all these attempts and knowing that there's a part of you that's still fighting to survive, what keeps you going?
I think the main thing that keeps me going is God. God, music, and my family. Yes.
All right. And there's a lot of healing in your music. I've watched you perform. I've heard you perform. And it's just a joy. You truly are. I remember at the launch of the First Lady's Beyond Zero, you know, a half marathon, you were one of the young children and the young people who were performing for her.
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
Well, that made me feel really good because it's actually been a healing process because it gave me something to live for. It gave me something. It's what has brought me here today because I was so focused on rehearsals, on making sure everything was going well. Because I was also helping with the students, so I was also coordinating the music. So I had to make sure I was on top of everything. And because I was doing that, it took my mind off everything else. And that brought healing to me. And just being able to get on stage again. I think I've not been on stage since 2014.
Wow.
So that was
So watching
was
you
nice.
on stage then was a wonder.
It was great.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You belong on stage, honestly, you truly do. But in people, because the people who are watching right now and they understand exactly what you've been through and they know every single part of what you're trying to explain. You know, questions about purpose and why we're here, not many people will answer. And even I also struggle with those. And I can be okay with saying I don't know and move on with it. There's no guarantee that you don't keep asking those questions for yourself. But what do you tell yourself now? Because you're in a much stronger place. When it comes, what do you speak to yourself when that, questioning comes?
I guess what I've been doing, like, because I started going back to church.
Right.
So what I've been doing a lot is reading the Bible and seeing what God says about me, and just my relationship with Him has really brought out a lot. And also just reading also about self-help, reading books, watching motivational talks, and also opening up to my family. I think coming out about what I'm going through and telling my family, because my family all thought it was depression, but now when you come out and say it's actually schizoaffective disorder, then that's when they start to realize what it actually is, and talking to them about what I'm feeling, what I've been going through, because I was always someone who kept everything inside.
Right. So
just the fact that I've been opening up and hearing from them and their encouragement is what has kept me going, and what, like, their words of encouragement ring in my head as I go when I have those questions.
Okay. And just listening to you talk about that, it speaks volumes about the relationship that you have with your family now. You're not closed off. You're not feeling like they don't understand you like you did before, because the communication lines are open.
Yes.
And for those who are watching and struggle with what you struggle, I'm hearing your words of advice. Open up, talk, speak, and for family members to just be there, because you know this feeling of helplessness is because we come to a situation and we think this is how we're going to fix it, this is what needs to be done, but that's not what happens with mental health. We have to meet you where you are.
Yes.
What would you advise, you know, family members, the Auntie Nickies of this world who really want to be there with you every step of the way but just wouldn't know where to begin?
Well, I think the first thing is just to educate yourself about mental health and understand what it is, and be careful with the words you speak, because words have a lot of power. They can break or build someone. And so, especially when there's lots of thoughts, because there's lots of thoughts going in your mind, there's lots of blaming yourself, especially as someone going with mental health. And so it's important for you to not receive blame or criticism. It's better to receive love. So I think love is a key thing, and just people understanding and being willing to listen and not being quick to share an opinion based on what society feels, but based on what love is, a response of love.
So let's talk happiness. Let's talk the future. What do you want for yourself? I know the music is beautiful, and now you're back on stage, so I'm expecting to see you on stage a lot more now. What do you see for yourself? What would you like to happen?
Well, for myself, I have two aspects of my music career. I have the performance aspect and then also the music production aspect. So as a performer, I want to perform a lot more, both in Kenya and internationally. And I'm also working on my album, which should be out sometime mid next year, or around July, August. And so that's what I'm working on in terms of performance. As a music producer, I'm working on setting up a record label. And so that's something I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to that. And then the last thing is I like to do mental health advocacy. So just using music and using film. I'm planning to have a documentary to educate people and about mental health, and also to encourage people dealing with mental health issues.
Right. I am going to be on that album. In case you didn't know, I am informing you.
Yes.
Not asking.
Most definitely.
No, you can count on my support, you know, whatever you think I can do to help and walk with you in this new chapter. And even as you keep moving forward, you know there are a lot of people who are standing with you. You may not see them all the time, but we're there. We truly are. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you and to hear your story. For me, it's also been heartbreaking, because I'm thinking, where was I when all of this was going on, you know? But now I know where I will be.
Yes.
And that is more important than trying to, you know, it's in line with what you've said. Don't lay blame. It's what can you do? How can you be there going forward?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you're on social media.
Yes.
Yes. So you're willing to connect with people who have things to say and questions for you.
Yes.
You'll allow us to use those handles.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kathy. My love and regards to everybody.
Yes.
You are such a fantastic young lady.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely going places. What a conversation. I have been schooled today, and I've got a responsibility. And so do you. Because we all know somebody who's dealing with mental health issues. Be there. No more laying blame. Let's walk together. For more on this conversation, you can check out my social media handles. We are going to share Kathy Kiragu's handles as well. And you can maybe find out about her concert. And when she has that concert, we're all going. Please understand. But that said, thank you for watching this episode. As always, click subscribe and hit notifications and share this video. Believe me, there's somebody who needs to see this conversation, and not just you, there's somebody in your life who needs to watch this conversation. So please share it, drop us a comment, and we'll catch up again in the next episode. And of course, the next episode will be coming to you live from the waterfront, Karen, East Africa's premier destination for retail and lifestyle. Thank you for checking us out. We will catch up again. Till then, live out loud in all that you do. Bye for now.